But I think, Deb, do you want to tell us about your situation, mate? Because you've had a bit of a shocker.
It's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, it's a whole
your
podcast in itself.
situation.
So the last podcast that we recorded in bed together.
We did.
It was a bit of a top-up for Christmas Day, wasn't it? And I was talking about how I just started a new treatment, how my cancer had not returned, it never went away. My cancer is now in my liver. That's really common for bowel cancer. And I had just started about 3 days before Sports Personality of the Year, a new drug that's 3 targeted therapies. And we will talk like kind of later in the series more about what targeted therapies are and what they do. Then that night, it was the next morning. I woke up from not Strictly.
We'll come to that in a minute.
We'll come to that in a moment, young lady.
I was Strictly on the brain.
You've got it on the brain.
I've got it in the brain.
Sports Personality, I'll help you out.
Thank you. I woke up from Sports Personality, feeling really rough, and I ended up for the next 2 weeks in and out of hospital. I didn't drink too much at Sports Personality.
No, you were gone by about 11:30.
I know, I felt so rough, and it transpired I'd had a really bad allergic reaction to the drugs. It's expected. I just had a really bad skin reaction, but then my skin became septic, and I had fevers. I was whipped into hospital, put on those drugs that they give you to like blitz everything.
It went really quick, didn't it? Because you on that night you sort of showed us on your chest.
Yeah.
I mean, not too far down on the chest, but just top of the chest.
The upper chest region.
The upper chest region. You showed us,
it kind of bubbling away,
at the starting of a little rash, didn't you?
Yeah, and then it basically exploded to the point that it genuinely, I think one of the headlines was it hurt to smile, but actually that was real. It did hurt to smile, and I ended up, unfortunately, on Christmas Eve. My oncologist, can I just say, he's absolutely amazing. He called me at 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve because he knew how ill I was, just to basically check I was okay, whip me off all my drugs. For 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve.
Well, he's been on the show, hasn't he? Hasn't he got a BE of some kind now?
Oh, yeah, he got awarded an OBE. I probably got this from an OBE over the New Year. So big
well done, David.
To Prof. But basically, I just thought that was really nice of him.
That was just for working with you.
You deserve more than an OBE for that.
You deserve a lot more than just an OBE for working with me.
Knighthood.
A lot of wine.
Nobel Peace Prize.
I think just for keeping me alive, my word. It's a miracle. But yeah, then unfortunately what happened, because I was so ill, I couldn't have treatment. And many listeners will recognise that this is one of the battles that, and I am using that word, unfortunately, sometimes your body just can't take the treatment. And actually, as much as you want to have the treatment, I was like, I don't care, I just need it. The side effects of the treatment could, land me, and well, they might even kill me.
It's an awful irony about a lot of cancer treatment that you actually have to be quite well to have it.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of the trials that we were looking at for Rachel, you actually have to be really, really, other than the cancer, you have to actually be really, really, really well
and
to
your
have
blood has to be well, and you can't have inflammation. And for me, it was actually, I kept on going, well, what's going to happen? And they were like, well, do you really want to know what's going to happen? If we don't take you off the drugs, it becomes a septic infection, and
it's an infection in your body.
It's an infection in your body. And you just think, how bad can a rash be? Well, I'll tell you anyway. I've now discovered afterwards, so I've had 5 weeks off treatment, and it's only now that my team have gone, yeah, Deborah, that's the worst rash we've ever seen.
It was pretty bad. I did really feel for you, because we talked a lot on the pod as well about how if you feel like you look good and you feel like you look like yourself, then you can almost convince yourself that you're okay. And I think it was really hard for you as someone who does take such care of their appearance, and it really does make you feel like good about yourself, to not be able to hide that.
I hid from the world.
I know.
I hid, so this is really unlike me, and you guys know this. I did not go outside. My husband said it was really sad to see me like this. I was basically just looking in the mirror, not recognising the thing that I look back at, thinking like I look like a monster, because actually, in my mind, I did. And I was just crying, really ill, in so much pain, because it was really sore, my skin. And I felt awful. And I even wrote myself a letter that said the things I need to do before I die. Because I actually thought that this was the kind of start of the end for me. And it was really, I'm not emotional about it. I just realised how ill I was.
Yeah.
But I only realised that because I've come through it.
And that goes back to what Lauren just said, though. When you can see it, it's a real jolt, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a real jolt.
I mean, my rash that I had was a quarter of what you had. Do you know the picture I sent you?
Yeah.
And I felt exactly the same as you. I didn't leave the house. I was like, people would double take it. So I totally can appreciate how hard it is. My heart did go out to you, babe, because I was like, it's the worst.
It was just awful.
You can't get on with things, can you?
No, and even though, because I felt so awful as well, I think even if I hadn't felt awful, I covered my head and, I just covered my head. I just wanted to wear a massive scarf and I just didn't want anyone to see me.
You did wear a massive scarf, didn't you?
I did.
Of you going out with you see your eyes.
Yeah, I just did. Even my friends, it wasn't like, I'm not saying nobody would judge me. Nobody would care. It was how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the good news is that, so I was then really worried about what happens next.
Yeah.
And then, so obviously they whip you on a scanner. So I had a scan a couple of days ago. And I had some really good news that despite the fact that I only had 12 days of treatment, of this new treatment, I had a stable scan.
Yeah.